no time that you would wish that your loved ones will leave this earth. And when you become even popular, this news spirals across the length and breadth of everywhere you've touched, and even places you've not been. And that is the story of Promise Ileriolu Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad, the Nigerian singer who left this world last week. We just saw some of the things that he's been able to do, some of the music he's been able to put through to millions of Nigerians, to millions of his fans, and of course, most people that did not even know him before now are probably eating his names on their lips, and it's been about one controversy to another since the death of the 27-year-old young man. You might ask, is that what are some of the things that should be making headlines in Nigeria? Of course, it is, because regardless, it is not about fuel, it is not about NLC, it is not even about governance in Nigeria, which are hot topics as it is for an average Nigerian. But when it comes to this as well, this is where we come to the round table and find a kind of bring different kind of diversions and of course different kind of points, and ensure that we make sense out of some of these issues that are happening in our society. So today we will be talking about the society, we will be talking about governance and politics on the roundtable today. My name is Abiodun Adewale, welcoming you to another edition. It's good to be back on the show, and of course I am joined by the regular guys who are even more regular than me on the show. To my right is Shegun Odunayo, ever present.
Good afternoon to you, Abiodun. Well, you said it all. When you become popular, there are places your name will get to, and your what you do will get to, your craft will get to that you may not get to. Well, that's exactly what is happening to Mohbad at the moment. I saw him not topping. He has 3 songs in the Billboard, and one of his songs is even above that of Nicki Minaj. He probably wouldn't have thought about that in his entire lifetime. His songs are doing crazy numbers on Apple Music. I wouldn't have thought about that too, I guess. These are some of the things he must have dreamt of as an up-and-coming musician, but look at him today with his music taking him far and wide, despite the fact that he's 6 feet below the ground. In controversial circumstances, so much controversy here and there, unconfirmed reports here and there, this and that here and there. But one thing is certain, his music lives on.
Definitely. And of course, while his music lives on, we will continue to talk about some of the things he's been able to do even at the age of 27, or maybe until when we even get to the bottom of the matter, and when authorities that are investigating will be able to come out with something substantive for us, for everyone to believe. And joining us on the show again this afternoon is another regular, Fatih Hamid. It's good to be with you again on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Biodu. It's fantastic to be here. It's fantastic to always be here to rub minds together over issues that are hot in our society. And obviously, the death of Ileriolu Aloba is one of the, if not the most trendy topic in the country or in Africa at the moment. And we have to, of course, note that it is a painful one. It got to me about last week when someone was playing one of his music, and I realized that I know that song, but I didn't know the person who sang it. Because I do not do regular music. I listen to a genre of music, and it's not hip hop. So when I now listen to certain songs and it makes sense to me, I tend to like those songs. So one of his songs was that song for me. I think it's Adura, thereabout. So then someone played it and said, this is one of the songs of this guy that died. I was like, oh, wow. So it's this guy that sang this song. So I don't know. I'm not his fan. But, I mean, that very song is something that has resonated with me, something that I fell in love with over time. And it's so sad. I mean, having to now watch a lot of things about him, some of the songs he sang while he was here alive. And, as Shego said, doing crazy numbers in the world, not even Nigeria, not in Africa, but in the world at large. So it's so sad when your destiny outlives you. I mean, you did not get to experience the beauty of what you have invested in while you are here. And it brings me back to one thing that I always tell people all the time. let us ensure that we celebrate ourselves while we are here. Because trust me, even if Mohbad's death is not controversial, death is not a visitor that tells you it's coming. Death visits at an unknown time, an unknown point, and takes us away without telling us. I mean, it might be my turn, it might be your turn, it might be anybody's turn next by tomorrow, by this evening, no one knows. But one thing is certain, we will all die. We will all leave this earth. So it's just saddening that his death has a lot of controversy surrounding it, and I believe that we'll be able to get to a certain endpoint here on the show today. Thank you so much.
Well, quite philosophical from you guys, and it even points back to one of the songs that he dropped last before his death, which was A Walking Dead by Title. But then, before we leave this and go to some other topical issues affecting Nigerians, one death, too many controversies, and it's opening the leads on many issues in the entertainment industry, particularly the music industry in itself. Some years ago, this guy was a happy guy under a record label. 2 years later, some years later, we started to hear stories about splitting and all of that. Officially, he left, but then since then, it's been from one assault to the other. Unfortunately, these things did not surface until he left this world, and you begin to wonder why some of these things happen and we don't get to. So, are we sure that all these things, all these pointers that we got from Mohbad's death, how sure are we that they will totally be out of these industries?
One thing I know for sure is that death magnifies a creative. If you are a book writer and you write books and your death is probably controversial, trust me, your books will begin to sell after your death. If you, whatever creative you are, if you have shot movies in the past, if you've shot music videos, any type of creative that you are, most times when death comes around and it's a little controversial like this one, your music shoots up. We saw an example in 2010 with Da Green. And now we are seeing something else now with Mohbad. And you know, the funny thing is, lots of questions have been asked on social media. What exactly led to this particular death? We know there was a case of bullying over time with evidences, but this particular death, what happened? Of course, it's still a mystery for me. And because that is from, nobody has been able to concretize exactly, give us rare solutions to this chaos that has been happening. You know, there was the issue of the show on Sunday, the Sunday before he died in Crude. There was the issue of the nurse. There was the issue of the injection. You know, a lot.
Issue about his neck, even being
exactly. That was even after it was late. You know, some people also came up with theories saying that it was even not dead as at the time it was buried. Some people had a lot of theories. I think kudos to Lagos State government for creating a panel that is going to look into this issue. I think they have a 2 weeks deadline to look into this issue, and the security officials are involved. I know medical officials are also going to be involved. And let us give us something concrete. It took a while before they made a statement, perhaps to just see the issue will go away so that the tension will be doused. But look at all the walks and the protests everywhere. Abeokuta, I think Ibadan has even done 2 days. Omuaran,
Ibadan yesterday, Omuaran today.
Delta, it's huge. And we have the one in Lagos today, which is probably going to be the
biggest
of all the walks.
I mean, the biggest.
Let's talk about the protest, the peaceful walks, and the candlelight in honor of this guy. There has to be so many things to be put in place to ensure that this does not snowball into another thing that will be taken advantage of. Let's be modest with words in the first place.
You see, I was arguing with one intellectual this morning, and I told him when someone brought the argument that it is joblessness that brought people out there to protest. You know, I stand firm on my words that no, it's not about joblessness. I have friends who are in industries, who are doing fantastic in their respective careers, and I saw them out there, you know, protesting, following the candlelight procession for this dead man. You know, I think this thing is about emotions. It's more on the emotions of humans here. Someone died, a youth. It is when, if you look at exactly under controversial circumstances, if you look at what led to NSAS, that is NSAS today, you know, it was someone's death that snowballed into what became large. You know, of course, we have been bullied and, you know, been extorted by policemen over time, but because someone died, you know, we are humans, and no matter how much we tend to like dislike one another or not like someone, we do not hate them to the extent of praying that they leave this world. You know, that is one thing I have realized with humans. So when someone dies, you tend to have this bias against them. We'll tell you, let's respect the dead, right? So I think what the government should make sure at the moment, because obviously there are people who like to take advantage of situations, who like to take advantage of issues and make it personal and take it and use it to push their own agenda, right? And we can see that with how NSAS ended, right? And I think what the government can do at the moment is first to ensure that they provide people with enough security to protect protesters while they are peacefully protesting. Because here, they're not even saying they want to protest. They're saying, okay, we want to have a candlelight procession for this person that died, right? So let us come out. It's peace, because this person that died preached peace while he was here. I mean, a regular candlelight, people would be wearing black. In Lagos today, everyone is meant to be wearing white for the protest. So for the candlelight procession. So I think what the government should do basically is to ensure that they put agents in place to protect protesters. That's the first thing. And the second thing is the protesters themselves. You know, now
keep emotions in check.
We have to ensure that we keep our emotions in check, because we have to realize that when this thing is getting out of hand, we call ourselves, see, this is what we are here for. We've said we want to do, because Nigerians are funny. You can get out to Lekki toll gate now that the protest is going to happen, and someone will say that, oh, after protesting, after finishing the candlelight procession for Mohbad, let us start fighting for justice on something that I would not like to mention on the show. You know, so these are things, because people like to take advantage of situations, right? So what we should be putting out there to our friends and family is that, see, immediately it has been officially called to close, that, oh, this is the end of the protest for the death of Mohbad. Let everybody return back to their homes. And I said it, that this thing will not happen again tomorrow. It will not happen again in 2 days' time. It will not happen again in 3 days' time. So let us give people the chance to express their emotions of theirs. Because this protest in Lagos today, which of course will obviously be the biggest, was called for by Mohbad's management themselves. You know, so I believe that they are going to have hands on ground at the event. Then when they are done with what they are meant to do, they are going to call it a close and tell people that, oh, see, guys, thank you so much for coming out to do this. Thank you so much for paying respect to this person. Thank you so much for doing this with us. Now it is time for us to go back to our respective homes. And I think that is what we should be all about.
All right. So from the candlelight procession, that's going to be like the biggest last respect for Mohbad. And from what we understand, there's been a 2-week timeline for the investigative panel to give their report. And we also understand that efforts are on to exhume the body.
It's actually been exhumed.
For a coroner.
Yeah, it's been exhumed already.
So the body has been exhumed. And
a couple of arrests has been made as far as the updates we got this morning. I was watching this lady, this actress, Yabojo, who has been one of those who have been championing the cause. Yeah. So she came out this morning to say that the nurse who injected him has been arrested. She said some other people has been arrested also. She didn't mention names. Then we are hearing reports of, okay, some people has been told to make themselves available to the police, you know, especially the major suspects in this case, so that they can be investigated, you know, so that they can tell their side of the story and say, okay, if you are culpable, if you are involved, this. I just think that if you look at the controversy surrounding the death of this person, right, we have to see and note that this person suffered a lot of things before he left this world. I mean, for a young guy of his age to have to go through a lot of things he did. I mean, look at the videos that are online, you know, doing your thing, doing your job, and someone coming there to harass you, wanting to slap you. And at the end of the day, we heard that he was beaten on that very day. And we saw a subsequent video where after he was beaten in a car where he was seated, they've beaten him already. So these are issues that we have to charge the Lagos State Police, charge the Nigerian police to ensure that they get to the root of the matter. I mean, that was just a few months ago. That was in July, as we heard. So if someone can be, something like that can be done to a fellow Nigerian, we have to ensure, and ultimately the person died under a very controversial circumstance. We have to ensure that we charge the police to do whatever it has to take to get to the root of this issue and ensure that justice is served to the person that died.
All right, we believe the concerned authorities are on top of their game, and from now it's time for us to move on to the next thing on the show and talk about some of the issues that Nigerians have been facing even before the news of Mohbad started trickling in and got everybody's emotion and all of that. And I'm very sure whether or not we are doing Tangier Life procession today, everybody will need at least some pinch of fuel to get to
yeah.
And of course, we need to strike you again that this is how much you have to pay to get to where you have to be, and do many other things that you're supposed to be. The Nigeria Labour Congress and the federal government have been in meeting. Deadlock again. Only God knows the number of
you know, this has been on since the statement for subsidy is gone. The NLC came out to say, we represent Nigerian workers, we represent the Nigerian people, we speak for a majority of people because workers, the union is under our leadership, and they came out to say we cannot continue to work on 30,000 naira minimum wage. When a liter is saying 590, 600, 620, as the case may be, depending on your state. If you are working on going on with minimum wage, that can probably only take you to your bus stop. That take home can barely ever take you home. So, of course, the federal government said they were putting things in place, putting things in shape, they were planning, they were preparing. But that's the job of the federal government. The federal government will always tell you they are planning and preparing. The Senate election, where, I mean, the leadership of the Senate they pick their leaders. Look at the fantastic SUVs and cars that were given to the leadership of the Senate. Look at the fantastic cars that were given to the leadership of the House of Reps. The subsidy monies that were paid, the billions that were sent to states. And many people have been saying they didn't get these monies, complaints here and there.
Should we now look at relative to the palliatives?
That's also I'm going, the billions that was given to the states to go down. Just look at the controversy that have enveloped that particular situation. So the NLC have continued to speak. Remember, they protested at a point. There was a 2-day warning strike. Now they are giving another warning and saying they are going to shut down the entire place. Reports also came out from the federal. Reports also came out saying that the president, of course, is not around at the moment, but that when he comes back next week, there will be a new minimum wage and all that. But Nigerians have been living this way since May 29th. This is May, June, July, August, September. Many persons have literally been suffering and smiling. I will take you back a little to the Mohbad issue. I'm sorry, but look at this crisis, the NLC and the federal government matter. I was asking a question: why did we have so many persons on the streets? Everywhere. Look at Abeokuta. Why did we have so many persons on the streets? It brings you back to what is happening in the country. I mean, if we have engaged youth, if these guys were in their offices, how many people will leave the offices at various banks or one company or the other? It shows you that a large majority of these persons out there are probably not employed, or they are underemployed. It means that there's free time on their hands. Because you look at what has been happening in recent days, and you know we are probably only sitting on a time bomb because of the number of persons that are having the ability. If you have a job, I mean, if you are working, for example, in a bank, you go by 7 or you go by 6, you come back by 8, you probably only be protesting online. I mean, if you have several hundred thousands of persons working in offices, but look at what we are having. That sends us only one signal. Look, that is why the NLC needs to get it done with the federal government as soon as possible. Life needs to get better. Everything is just crumbling at the same time. The dollar, the fuel, everything is just happening at the same time.
That takes us to fuel. I mean, while the NLC is still firing warnings and all of that, marketers are already eyeing fresh hike because the price of crude has even shot up as well.
See, I think that the NLC must completely disagree with the federal government on this issue.
And that brings us to?
Because, yes, the fuel issue. The NLC has to continue to fight for what is right. The NLC, the TUC, they have to ensure.
The labor union.
The labor unions.
I'm not really about not fighting or fighting it is. It's about the result. How long will they have to fight before
that's what we are
they get
saying.
the results?
The government has to heed to the requests of our labor unions. That is why we have put them there to be our representative. You understand? We can't continue to live in a country where 30,000 naira is our minimum wage and we are buying fuel
That is 590.
at ridiculous amount of money. It is not sustainable on all fronts. I calculated the money that I spend on transportation to my office every day, and that is me spending about 70,000 naira on transportation. What's it called, in a month in total? That is ridiculous. It is not sustainable, and the federal government has to do something immediately.
And how much sense does it make that despite that we're buying for 590, we're still hearing tributes that there is this particular subsidy
Biodun, crude oil has increased. The price of crude oil has increased on the international market. $94 per barrel. That should tell you something. If it is not, because naturally when you say subsidy is gone, it simply means that market forces are taking care of the whole thing. When demand increases, what happens? Buying and supply they come into play here. When the price increases on the international level, it should also increase there. So naturally, if we are buying according to $94 per barrel, the price of fuel here per liter should have increased to like 950, 980, 970.
I want to disagree with you very quickly.
For it not to have increased, it means it looks like subsidy is not gone. Because if you look at, reports are already in the media that about over 160 million, if I'm right now, yes, was being paid as subsidy, and that it was stylish subsidy. Because if there is no subsidy payments by anybody, and then it is increasing on the international market, why is it increasing and is not increasing here?
Now,
somebody now said, if the government know that they want to pay subsidy, okay, don't pay the subsidy for 600 naira fuel or 590 fuel. Okay. Kuku, I'm sorry, that's Nigerian Palace now. Kuku, bring down, help us pay the subsidy till it comes down back to 200 naira per liter. Increase the money you are paying for subsidy until Dangote comes on board and until our
very quickly let me say this on this point.
Another Nigerian Palace, is that something the president Tinubu will be willing to do with his full chest, having said subsidy is gone?
No, the president will not do that. He would not. And if he does that, that means he is not trustworthy, is not someone to rely on, and not someone to even put the future of Nigeria in his hands.
But subsidy is not gone, Hamid. Subsidy is obviously not gone right now.
Obviously, it is not. But let me quickly say this to you. If crude is increasing on international level, it should be to the advantage of Nigeria, because we sell crude.
We don't have refineries. Of course, we know this now.
I'm not saying that we are talking about crude, not the finished product. We sell crude to them. So when we sell crude to them, we should be selling at an higher rate. Then we should be able to have money
we
to
buy it back at the level of the international market.
Yeah, I'm not saying we are not buying, but that's what I'm saying. So we have money somewhere. We are selling at an high amount of money. Then we should be getting. We should be getting money.
That's what we are saying.
So
we are selling maybe buying higher.
Maybe the excess profit we are seeing on the now increased amount of barrels of fuel on the international level that we have is what they are using to augment to maintain the price that we are having.
We are selling at a high rate. We are buying higher.
I'm not saying we are not buying higher, but I'm saying in essence that if we are also selling our crude out there, we are selling at that level, at that amount of money they are selling at the international level, at $94 per barrel, right? Yes. Compared to what they are selling in the past. So we should be having an amount of money from that. So if we are having an amount of money from that money that we are selling...
Is subsidy gone, Hamid?
Yeah, I know subsidy is not gone, obviously, from the look of things. Because if subsidy is gone, about 2 months ago, we should be having fuel at around 700, 800 naira.
Yes.
You know, and we got the report. We ran a story here in Punch that subsidy is still being paid somehow.
It looks like it.
It looks like it. So we are saying that the government should find a way possible, because the solution to all of this is for them to increase the minimum wage.
Mm-hmm. Let them pay the subsidy for us till it gets to...
No, let them increase the minimum wage to a strong amount of money that is sustainable for Nigeria.
I think if you ask Nigerians, increase minimum wage or reduce fuel to 200, I think most people will prefer 200.
I will agree with increasing the minimum wage, bro.
The government is unwilling To bend to the NLC's warning or whatever warning shots they've been firing, it looks like if they were supposed to have bent, it shouldn't take this long. And if they were supposed to rule out palliatives that won't even get to.
I mean,
where we all the palliatives from earlier.
So I think the federal government still has to come up with a better strategy of addressing the subsidy issue itself. And if you ask Nigerians truly, if you ask them, do you want this subsidized fuel or increased minimum wage?
Truly subsidized fuel.
Trust
let
me,
them,
a
let
lot
them
of
even
people will
subsidize
pick
it to
minimum wage.
200 naira.
A lot of
Let it
people
go
will
back.
pick minimum wage.
Since we know it is now being subsidized. There is no abracadabra because it is increasing on the international market level, and if we are saying by the same day, now we know that big daddy, you are paying for the kids. Now, pay what the average person can now.
Do you know that since we have not been paying for subsidy, a huge amount of money is being paid to our states every month?
Does the average man in any of all these states have they enjoyed it?
That's what we are saying. We should not now put the blame of that on the federal government. Instead, we should look at our state governments, ask them the right questions.
How does the average Nigerian hold his governor responsible? Or his local government chairman?
Yes,
look at the Ogun example now.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Unfortunately, time will not permit us to go deeper into some of these issues that are trickling down into the lowest part of the society. But of course, it's just Nigerians wanting to live the way they've been living before, and this current means of livelihood is something that a lot of people are still finding it very difficult to adjust to, and it's only a matter of time before people begin to crack under pressure. As it is, people are even cracking under the pressure. We hope something happens really soon, and of course, this is how much we'll be able to take. But guys, let's quickly take our parting shots before we leave on the show today. We've talked about fuel, we've talked about NLC.
Yeah.
And one thing remains sacrosanct here. It's still about better lives for Nigerians, and it also goes back to Mohbad, which we started with.
The average Nigerian just wants to live fine. The average Nigerian is enjoying the Nigerian weather. The average Nigerian leaves Nigeria, goes into ash weather. The average Nigerian out there wants to come back to this country, to a flourishing country. The government are the ones we put in charge. Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and the Ginger Crozio, and their theory that says that we have given power to the government. The power now have our collective responsibility of being in charge of our society. Let them do the right things. That's their job.
I mean, from you?
Well, again, it goes back to we citizens as well, because we all have a responsibility to take in governance. We all have a responsibility to take to make sure that the country works for me and you. We have to come together to ensure that we form an alliance that is strong enough to, demand what is right for ourselves. Because when we sit and we are out there saying that, things are going to be better, the government is going to do the right thing, the right thing will not come to us. We have to be able to come out and demand what is right for ourselves. And when we do that, we will be able to tell the government that, government, this is what we want, and we'll get what we want. In fact, the Bible also supports things like that. But the kingdom of God suffer violence, we take it by force. So, sometimes you do not have to sit back. So we have to come together, be one voice, and go for it. Thank you so much.
Well, there's so many things happening right now, and of course, if you ask a lot of people, it's about which one eats them the most. And for most Nigerian youths, it's the death of Ilerioluwa Aloba Promise that is eating them the most, and that is why a lot of people will be joining the candlelight procession in Lekki, in Lagos today. But whatever you do, remember, it is love and light, and that is what the late guy has always preached. Until next week when we return, I am Abiodun Adewale. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.
Hey.